We just got back about an hour ago. To the vegetation. Today is Wednesday, right? Yeah. It's been a crazy few days. Driving home, we were about 200 feet from my uncle's house. And Adrian started to whine. We started to cry. And was like, oh no. And he made this burping sound. And then just... We were like, oh, we were so close. I mean, it was like 200 feet. I could see the house. And he threw up. But he didn't, that's the thing, is he didn't whine, he didn't cry. But the last part to get to my uncle's house is, it's down a 2-lane country road. Barely two, it's like a lane and a half, really. And it's very curvy. I mean, it's just a constant turns. Blind curves also, so they're not like gradual curve. I mean, they're big sweeping curves because it's following the side of a mountain is what it's doing. And so that wasn't fun. So we get there, have to basically clean out the car seat, clean him up, and then go straight to the visitation. That got to see a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time. Just a lot of, it's kind of, here's one thing that's kind of really sad is that this is the first time I've seen a lot of my family members since my Aunt Charlotte passed. And it's like, wow, the only time we get together is when there's a tragedy. And we were all talking, we want to try to get together get something started to where we all get together at least once a year, at the minimum. But the problem is that we live so far apart. My brother lives in Texas. I live 3 hours away. Some of them live 3 hours different the other direction, so 6 hours if I wanted to go visit them. Have another cousin that lives in Atlanta. And it's like, well, that's like 5.5 hours. So it's just so, everybody's so spread out, we don't really have time to really get together and hang out. Really see each other. Then today, well, after the visitation, basically we all went back to the house and just passed out. We were really tired. Then today was the funeral. It was really nice. A lot of people came, talked to us, and I got to see a lot of people we haven't seen again. And it surprised me how many people showed up, how many lives my aunt touched. I mean, there's probably over 400 or 500 people that showed up, and to the visitation, to the funeral. There wasn't as many, but there were. I'd say there were at least 200. Like some people bought wind chimes. I've never really. I don't go to a lot of funerals. This is really only like the third major death in my family, of a family member that I've been really close to. My grandmother, my Aunt Charlotte, now my Aunt Barb. And I've never really known people wind chimes. It really wasn't something I've known. This time, there's like 8. Like they gave me one, my brother took one, and we basically, my uncle hung up on his porch, and that's something I just never really thought about. So basically, tomorrow, I'm gonna go out and get like something I can put in my backyard and hang it on, because I really don't have a front porch, don't have a back porch. I have one. I have like a patio out back. It doesn't have an overhang, so there's nowhere I can put it. So I'm going to get something I can put in my yard and put it on. let's see. But when we started actually getting our vehicles to go the gravesite, it started pouring the rain. And when I mean pouring, the video I showed where I went to get the Resident Evil movie, that's nothing compared to what this was. I mean, it was a downpour that I haven't seen in a long time. There's this creek, like the cemetery's up on this hill. There's this creek that runs that you basically got to cross to get to it. The creek was about to overflow, and it's pretty deep. And I was like, holy cow, this is crazy. But after the funeral was over, after we had put her, like we were at the gravesite and everything, and they take her to where she's going to be buried. When we all started to leave, it stopped. It was like, this is weird. I mean, we literally got in our cars to leave, downpour. We started walking back to our cars to go home. Rain was stopped. I mean, it wasn't raining at all. The sun was out and it was warming up. It was the craziest thing. So after that, we all went back, and there was a dinner at the school that my cousins teach at, that they basically know that basically they both two of my cousin, his wife, and his daughter all work at the school. They're all teachers there, so they know the people, the principal and everything. So they had a dinner at the school, and for my uncle and everybody, a lot of people that went to the church that my aunt went to, they cooked and brought food. It's really nice. My son took up with, because like he doesn't really had much time to see his cousins, so my one cousin, which was my aunt's great granddaughter, he took up with her. They played together, and then my stepsister's son, they played together. And I was like, wow. I was afraid that he'd be a little shy, or he might get a little rough. He might be rough with kids, because he hasn't been around a lot of young kids. So when he goes up to, he gets really close, and it makes some kids uncomfortable. But his cousins were really nice. They played with him, raced with him. It really touched me that they were so gentle with him. Let's see. Then after that, we basically packed, and we went back to my uncle, because my uncle has the house that he lived in. They bought another plot of land. They built a house on that they were going to move into. I say they were going to move into it, but it's been there for a while, and they just never really moved into it. They just kept the house up. And but we went back to my uncle, the house they lived in for so long. They've been married 57 years. I mean, that's a long, long time. And I'm just even think of it. It's like, I've only been alive for 38. And that's almost, I mean, not quite, but almost double the amount of time I've been alive. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy to think that's after that long that you've been with somebody that they could just be gone. But we went back to my uncle's house, hung out with him, his son, his wife, my cousin's daughter, my cousin's daughter, their son, granddaughter, this is the guy that my cousin knew growing up. He was there. His sister was there. Like her kid. I mean, it's just so many people that were just all talking and remembering about things. Actually reminded my cousin of a story, because we all grew up together. He's like my brother. And I remember once we had a pool in the backyard, and it was an above ground pool. And you have, and with those pumps, you have to backwash them after every so often. And basically, anything that's stuck in it, it blows it out the back of it so that it cleans the filter out. And he did that. And he always told my aunt, make sure he gets hose up to it and direct the hose out to the backyard so that it doesn't kill these two trees. He didn't do that. He let the water just come out. Oh, she was mad. And she got really mad. She's like, you killed them trees. Because there was these 2 pine trees she had planted right beside the pump. She wanted to hide the pump. And I mean, oh, she was so mad. Because we hadn't planted them maybe 2 or 3 weeks before. It's like, you've killed my tree. Because there's a lot of chlorine. Because the water's almost white when it comes out. But yeah, she's, you killed them, blah, 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 blah. And now those trees are probably, but we transplant after, I think the next year she realized they're getting pretty big and we need to move them. So we moved them to the front yard on this side of her walkway, like right beside the front gate. So they went from maybe 2 foot tall when we planted them to maybe 5 to 6 foot tall each when we transplanted them to the front yard. They're probably now 20 foot tall, maybe taller. And I was telling my cousin, I was like, yeah, remember, these are those 2 trees you killed. And he was like, what? I like, remember? And he was like, oh my God, I completely forgot about that. And we talked about that. And he was basically, we told his kids about it. And, oh yeah, it was his friend that basically his friend was there also. He remembered. He was like, oh yeah, she was hot. And he was like, oh man, I completely forgot about that. Oh man, just thinking about stuff like that. And like, I remember he used to bug about it. Like, oh yeah, here's those trees I killed. But it's good seeing everybody. It just sucks that the circumstances what it are. But I'm back home. I've got a number of videos to edit now. Because I didn't post one yesterday because there's no internet. I mean, my cell phone had 1 bar. I had one, like, I have an iPhone, so it's got how many dots? It had 1. And most of the time I had no service in any way, shape, or form. And I'm like, why would you even have a cell phone here? I mean, like half the time you can't even make a call or send a text message. Like my brother had to use he has T-Mobile, and he had to use my phone because there's just nothing. He the entire time he was there, he had no cell service or signal whatsoever. But I'm gonna get off here. Hope everybody's had a good time. Better than I was, but it's gonna be rough for a little while. But hope I had a good day. Talk to you tomorrow.